or better vitrification
Right.
liquids, right? Is that what we're talking about now?
Yeah, so there's, in terms of development in cryonics, there are a few areas that are being developed. There's a big focus on improving vitrification technologies.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. There was the biggest focus right now seems to be.
Yeah, there's also a lot of work being done on improving the rest of the procedures.
Like perfusion?
Like what?
Like perfusion techniques and stuff?
Yeah, actually, one of the things that I think is very interesting that's being worked on is improving the cooling methods. It's very hard to cool a human body.
Yeah.
If you didn't think about it for a while, you'll kind of realize, yes, there's no clever way around that. Like, I don't remember the exact figures off the top of my head, but for every degree you cool the body, the metabolic demand of the cells drops by about half. I think that's something like that.
Okay.
Alco knows all the details.
All the details of that, right?
The best thing that you can do is, in terms of preventing all the damage that happens after you die, is just cooling the person very fast. Because when you cool the person, you slow down and stop the cellular metabolism, and you stop a lot of the damage.
And one of
yeah. Oh, it's not.
I'm wondering, that's one of the major problems as far as what I've read, and I'm pretty new onto the cryonics scene, but it seems as though the definition of legal death and when a cryonics organization can start the cooling down and vitrification procedures, that seems to be one of the sticking points, because I know a lot of people who talk about cryonics and they're saying, hey, if they had a terminal disease, they would rather just take a lethal dose of morphine or something like that and get it over with and get preserved very well, and then because of all of our legal problems with the definition of legal death and when you can do, how you can do this, that seems to be kind of a sticking point.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's the issue of what constitutes legal death is very gray.
Yeah.
I mean, they're all like if I were to have a heart attack right now, I would not really be dead because I'm over at my friend's house and he's a doctor. He's got a cell phone. He called paramedics. Like, I did CPR. So I wouldn't be dead if I go into the bathroom instead of just hanging out in his backyard and I had a heart attack in there. I'd probably be dead because he probably wouldn't think to check on me until
it was too late.
Until it was too late. And so, just moving 10 feet
changed the definition of legal death.
Yeah. Yes. So I lost my train of thought.
So you're changing the definition of legal death, but in that 10 minutes, your body goes through some metabolic changes that make you a little bit worse shape than if your friend was right there, you had a heart attack, say he knew that your heart was dead and he couldn't resuscitate you. If you could do the cooling at that moment and the perfusion, everything at that moment, you'd be preserved in a very good state. But,
the rules on what constitutes legal death and how it is determined, etc., vary quite a bit.
From country to country, from state to state, it varies quite a bit.
From state to state, and even county to county.
Really?
Because a lot of the decisions are made by county officials. The coroner's office or the medical examiner's office.
Okay.
Most counties don't have medical examiners, but in the circumstances that surrounded your death have a lot to do with, how you're declared dead and what happens to the body and et cetera, et cetera.
if you can plan it out
Um,
ahead of time, like for cryonics people, if they can plan it out as best as they can. I know a lot of people talk about when if they know they're getting close to the end, that they will move to Arizona, so they're right there.
yeah. So
Right.
so that's
Or to
so
Michigan,
if you're if you're
or
a
to other.
cryonics right, if you're a cryonics patient, the best thing to do is to make sure that your family and your doctor know about and
Know
are as
about it.
comfortable as possible with the process. One of the worst things that can happen is someone keeps it private, and then something happens to them, and then all of a sudden, just like the family is saying, what are you guys talking about, etc. The doctor has no idea what we're talking about, and then in that early phase of the cryonics procedure, we have to spend our time talking to people instead of doing things.
Yeah, that's right.
And so if you're a patient, you want to dramatically increase the chances that it'll work, then talk to your doctor, talk to your family, make sure everyone understands.
Sure. And Ben
Yeah.
Best, I know Ben Best, he even gave the advice you should talk to your local coroner at the local hospital or mortician at the local funeral home to make sure, everyone knows, is informed, that this is going on because it's a relatively rare procedure.
Right, and because there's a lot of stuff that has to happen right after someone legally dies for the cryonics organization, and if you have at the minimum the address of the nearest funeral home, you maybe talk to someone.
Yeah.
Those are all things that the cryonics company won't have to do in the very critical early phases. Moving to Arizona also, in my opinion, dramatically increases the chances of it working.
Or, moving next to...
Alcor's
Yeah.
Alcor's on very good terms with a funeral home that's a hospice that's very near
Okay.
the facility, and so instead of having to do these long transports back to Arizona, it's just a couple miles down the road.
Yeah, very good.
And
Yeah.
in terms of the that just makes things a lot better because logistically, like Cupper's very close to the facility, like no equipment ends up on the wrong plane.
Yep.
We have all the people that we
Everything's
need.
there. And
Everything's there. The hospice knows Alcor is on good terms with them, and so there's
now,
the hospice nurses cooperate, and it all goes much smoother.
yeah, we kind of got off on a little tangent here. I think you were going to say something about the future of cryonics and what's coming up. I interrupted you. We were talking about that new vitrification materials would be are being investigated. Also, the
Right.
best medical or perfusion technologies. Is there any other technology that's actively being worked on that will help?
Both Alcor and Suspended Animation are working on liquid ventilation cooling systems. So cooling is very important.
Oh,
Hard to cool a body. One of the things that's being developed is liquid ventilation, where we take chilled perfluorocarbons and then spray them down into the lungs, and then use the lungs as a heat exchanger to cool the body.
because it'll go a lot quicker that way.
It goes a lot. Yes,
A lot quicker.
a lot quicker. I don't know off the top of my head.
Yeah,
exactly
numbers
how-
aren't
how
important.
much,
Numbers aren't
Right.
important.
but it's yes, it's extremely fast.
Okay.
And that's something that is being developed. That once becomes both Alcor and SA are building devices, and once they're deployed into the field, it'll be a dramatic increase in the capabilities.
Okay. Yeah, and now one other question about cryonics before we talk about a couple other things maybe. You've been now working for Alcor, and you've been involved in cryonics for a while, and I just want to know what your viewpoint is on public